Hi, thank you and welcome to another episode of Stones, Bones, and Black Eyed Peas.
Yes.
This is my daughter, Sable.
Hello.
And I'm Michelle of Finer Things Events and Catering.
And we want to thank you all for being here today. We want to give a special shout out for Feed the Mass, Reach, and HBI for making this happen today. We are so excited to share these recipes with you. These specific recipes are postpartum recipes. So these are good things to make when you're postpartum. They're simple, not a lot of ingredients, and very easy to access. So we really, really wanted to share these with you. We thought a lot about what we're making today, and my mom is making a soup. So if you want to share that.
I'm making a lemon orzo chicken soup. It's super easy to prepare. It's got a few ingredients, as you see, just a very few. And it's inexpensive, and if you can go to Winco, you got this.
Right.
So I'm going to jump right in. First of all, we're going to boil the orzo. Orzo is a pasta. It looks like little tiny seeds of, actually large seeds of rice, but it's pasta.
It's pasta, yeah.
And we're
we
going to
were
boil
saying
that.
if you don't, that's okay. That's okay. We were saying that, like, I'm gluten-free, so I can't eat this orzo. A good replacement for us, for me, would be rice. You can use quinoa. You were saying potatoes. So if you don't have orzo, that's okay. You can use a different type of pasta or a different type of grain that you like to use. Yep. But first, we got to cook it.
So while that's cooking, we wanted to share with you our experiences postpartum. Obviously, there's 30-some years difference in between what happened with me and what happened with her.
Right.
And I think the thing I remember the most with me was she was preterm, so that part was stressful, and I had to leave the hospital without her, which was probably the hardest thing that I had to do. But actually, once I got home and kind of waited for you to get there, my biggest concern was nursing you and feeding you. And luckily for me, I was one of those people that didn't have issues with milk supply. In fact, I actually donated milk to the hospital.
And I used donated milk at the hospital, so I had a very different experience in my postpartum period. And I forgot, we talked about, like, our shared, the thing that we shared was this, like, when you have your baby and they hand your baby to you and you're like, am I supposed to go home with him? Like, there's nothing I have to sign, no tests I have to take. I just take this baby home with me. And so I just remember it being like a really scary experience that I didn't have all the answers to. I didn't know what I was doing. I read all that I could. I watched all the videos, and still, like, nothing prepares you for bringing that little human home.
The only thing I had was a car seat. That was the only requirement that they needed.
Same. It's boiling over. Is it almost? It's doing good.
All right, let me turn that down a little bit.
All right.
Let that boil.
Got it.
And for this recipe, back to the recipe, you partially boil the orzo. You don't want it all the way done because you're going to put it back into the pot after you add all the other ingredients. If you wait, it'll be slippery and mushy, and nobody likes mushy pasta. So we're going to give that probably another minute, and we'll be done.
All right.
And then we can strain that off and add the other ingredients.
So I'm looking at your stock here. Did you make this yourself?
This is homemade stock.
Okay.
You can buy stock in the store, which is really delicious.
It is, yeah.
However, I'm a chef, and I just
go above and beyond.
Can't.
You don't have to do that.
Now listen.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to be like when you have leftover chicken, chicken bones, or when you debone something.
Or your turkey from Thanksgiving.
There you go.
Yep.
That's another use for that turkey carcass you're going to have eventually. Make some stock, and it just has celery, carrots, bay leaves, onions, garlic, and some salt. And that's the only thing I really like the most about making my own stock. You can control the salt. And because a lot of those packaged salts are high in sodium. And you're trying to keep things, like when you said, after you've had a baby, you don't have time to worry about how much salt is in that, but this will help you.
Right. And you can make this
avoid it.
beforehand too. This is one of
Absolutely.
those things that you can freeze. A lot of my friends like to prep before their baby is born.
Yeah.
So they will actually do a whole bunch of meal prep and then they'll put this away in the freezer. So if you want to make this before you have your baby, you can, or after, and just put it away when you need it.
I would strongly recommend making it beforehand because it's something that you can just put on the stove, walk away, and just let it simmer. You could put it in an Instant Pot and cook it that way too.
Pot, thank you.
We've been
So she
having
calls it
this
an
thing.
Instant Pot, and I'm
I
like,
keep calling it an Instapot.
I'm like, no, it's an Instant Pot. But yeah.
But see, I'm a person, I use a good old-fashioned pressure cooker, so
Right.
I don't use
You don't
gadgets.
need that.
But anyway,
Sorry.
it's something that you could do beforehand.
It's true.
And so
Yeah.
this is, I think it's good now. I'm going
it's
to,
winding.
yep, there we go.
Okay.
I'm going to take this off and strain it.
Okay. All right. Do you need help?
I'm good.
You got it? Okay. So she's straining right now. All right. Almost done there. Okay. So
out
it
of
looks
there?
like, okay. I don't know. I'm just trying to narrate this process for her. But yeah, she's just has like a strainer in the sink. I usually don't strain. I just kind of like pour the water out of the bowl the best I can and put the lid, or out of the pot, put the lid on the pot and kind of pour it out that way. So if you don't have a strainer, that's okay. You can just pour out as much water as you can.
Okay,
So that's done.
we're going to put this back on the heat. And the next ingredients we're going to add, and it's all in one pot, which
Right.
is
So much easier.
so much
Right.
better than this pot, that pot. It's
Right.
one thing to wash.
Right.
I add olive oil.
Can you use any kind of oil? Does it matter?
You can use any kind of oil you want. I use olive oil because I like the taste of it, and it's a good fat. It's one of those fats. It's a good fat. But you can also add butter.
Right.
Everything.
It tastes better with butter. Everything
go.
tastes better with butter. Yeah, we were just
Everything
talking
is
about
better.
that.
Everything is better with butter.
And we were also talking about, like, I remember during my postpartum period, I was so hungry. And so I had to increase my calories because I noticed when increasing my calories, my milk supply also increased. And so that's also why we're like not trying to get away from the fats. And for me personally, it was really helpful to try to increase more fat and more calories. So this is a way that you can do that in the soup.
Okay. What we're going to add next, I have chopped up some carrots, some celery, and onions. Mirepoix, as the French call
Mirepoix.
it. They have a fancy name for everything. I'm not going to add salt right now, just because there is a lot of salt in my broth. So I'm trying not to make it too salty. And this needs to cook down for about 5 to 7 minutes. So
Smells good. You can smell those onions. Oh my goodness. And you haven't added, why don't you add garlic?
well, we don't add the garlic right now because if you add it now, garlic cooks much slower than other aromatics, and it'll be bitter.
Okay.
So,
okay. I've done that before, where like my garlic burned. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, I add white wine. It's optional. You don't have to add it, but
It makes things taste
it's
better.
It's delicious.
And the alcohol burns off.
Yeah, the alcohol burns off, so you're not going to get alcohol on your breast milk or anything. So it'll burn off, and I'm going to put the top on this for a minute
Let it simmer.
and let it cook down for about it takes about 5 minutes for it to get there. So
Does anybody have any questions about this cooking process so far for us? Or everybody? Okay, we're all good. Okay, just want to make sure. I just want to check in. All right, so now we're waiting for this. And so what else do we have here?
I remember also too when we were talking about our experience. When I was a mom, which was, how old are you?
I don't want to say.
Okay, never mind. Let's just say 30 plus years ago.
30 is fine.
30 and some change, okay. It was just starting to be fashionable to breastfeed again.
Right.
And you were kind of looked down upon a little bit.
A little
if
bit.
You didn't breastfeed. At the end of the day, you needed to feed your child, obviously.
Right.
But it was very in vogue
Right.
to
It was
breastfeed,
cool.
and I'm really glad because being that you were a preemie, that made you grow like crazy.
Right. For me, I did find though, like, there was a huge pressure in the hospital to constantly push and have me breastfeed. I found it to be a great stress. And I remember with my second baby, I spoke with Jasmine from HBI, and I was like, this breastfeeding thing is so stressful. I was like, I consumed my life. I was so depressed and all this stuff. And she was like, how about you formula feed and you breastfeed at the same time? Do what works best for you. Just feed your baby. And her giving me that advice saved me so much.
Stress.
It relieved my stress. I gave my daughter the most that I possibly could, and she was also fed at the same time. And I really, really appreciate HBI for being there for me during that time. And that advice stuck with me.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Do you have a question? Somebody have a question?
Someone wanted to know if they can use ghee instead of butter.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Actually, I love ghee.
It's good.
It's a little more expensive than butter, but because it's clarified, it tastes
The way
really.
it's tasting is
It
gone.
tastes a lot better.
Yeah, ghee is great.
Yep.
Ghee is great. It has
Okay.
a nice nutty flavor.
Let me check on this.
All right.
Oh boy, we're cooking here now.
Good.
All right, let's add the garlic now.
Okay.
And I'm not mentioning the measurements because I'm terrible with measurements. I'm a chef. I just throw stuff together.
Right.
But I did submit a recipe for that if you want it. I'm sure people have access to the recipe. So
Right.
that will need to cook like just another couple minutes to get the garlic to incorporate with that.
It smells so good.
And here I'm going to add all of the spices. There is thyme, oregano, bay leaf, sea salt, and my favorite spice, cumin. And I used to sprinkle everything one at a time, but that it's just so much easier to mix all the spices at once.
It's like you're making your own seasoning blend.
Right.
And you can taste it. We were talking about, like, you can taste it before you put it in your dish. Because some things, like, I like to season my chicken, and I like to blend the seasonings beforehand so that I can taste it before I put on my chicken, because I can't, taste it on the raw chicken. So there definitely is a benefit to pre-mixing your seasonings. And then if you have, like, some left over, you can always put it away and use it for another dish as well, which I love.
This one I tasted it before like you said, before I put it in.
Right.
So it's good. And so now we're going to add,
Oh my gosh, it smells so good.
this is
What is that?
it's called Better Than Bouillon.
Oh, that's what it looks
I
like.
am not a huge person for processed foods, but this one,
It's so good. It is like
It-
condensed.
and they have a veggie version. They have
With mushroom.
beef, mushrooms, but in this one we're going to use chicken. It just adds another layer of flavors, and to me that is the thing about cooking is layering your flavors,
For sure.
not just throwing some salt and pepper in there and calling it a day.
Right.
No, thank you. In the studio, I'm sure they can smell this now.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
And I'm going to add the homemade stock.
It's even like layers of flavor in your stock. Look at that.
Yeah, and the seasons are in the bottom. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to bring that up to a boil. And once that's boiling, we'll add the orzo back in and the chicken. So,
Okay.
all
This
right,
is a
we'll let
really
that boil.
fast soup.
It is super easy,
Wow. Yeah.
but it's so flavorful. Like I said, again, if you don't want to make this chicken version, you can use vegetable stock. Like I said, Better Than Bouillon makes the vegetable stock as well.
And they do a chicken, like a vegan chicken flavor stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Good.
really good.
All right, we're going to let that cook for about 6 minutes.
All right, we want that boil.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so go for it.
Okay, let's see if we got this going to a boil now. We're back and
Right.
yep, we're
It's-
boiling.
It's really boiling there.
And at this point, we will add the lemon juice and partially cooked orzo or whatever pasta or you're using at this point, and the chicken. Now, like I said, a lot of times, you know, we don't have a lot of time, so you grab a chicken that's already been roasted for you. Costco has them. Winco has them. They're
Rotisserie
cheap.
chicken, right.
And you just cut up the chicken and just add it. And
Looks so
okay,
beautiful.
I
Okay.
like this.
It smells incredible. I love the colors. It's beautiful. It has a lot of depth to it.
One thing also too, you can always add whatever personal vegetables you have for that your family likes. Everybody doesn't like carrots. That's fine. You could add Brussels sprouts. You could add spinach. You could add kale. And I'm gonna put the lid on this, and this is gonna cook. It needs to simmer for like another 10 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick little break. I'm gonna set up my set, and I will show you guys how to make oatmeal bars in just a sec.
Okay, while this is simmering and smelling delicious, Sable's going to make her oat bars.
Yes, so this is a recipe that I make a lot for my family. Essentially, it's a baked oatmeal, but it has some extra things added like fruit and egg, and just lots of different seasonings for flavor. So let's get started. So the first thing that we start with is 2 cups of oat flour, or actually oats. You can use rolled oats. Here I have Scottish oats. I really love Scottish oats because they're ground and they're more fine, and it makes for a fluffier pastry. So I add that.
Will it work with rolled oats or
It
regular
will work.
oats?
Yep,
Okay.
it'll work with rolled oats or regular oats.
Okay.
I initially used regular oats before, but the Scottish oats are actually the cheapest in bulk
Okay.
at Winco. So I bought
you
them
go.
one day, and I tried cooking them, and they just didn't. They weren't my favorite, but I tried baking with them, and they're so much better baked. So I prefer to use
Okay.
the Scottish oats for this.
All right.
The next thing that we're gonna add is we got a little bit of salt for flavor. All right, and then we have some baking powder, and then put these things down here. And then we're gonna add in some cinnamon, and we got some nutmeg. So, go ahead.
No?
Yep.
You and your nutmeg. I was going to mention you and your nutmeg.
I love nutmeg. I put nutmeg in everything. I usually use a whole nutmeg, like it comes like a full piece, like a nut, and you grate it into your dish. I prefer it that way because it gives more flavor and it stays longer on the shelf. But for time, I bought it pre-ground. It's still delicious though. So I'm mixing together all my dry ingredients.
Okay, we have discussed, we don't know specifically why you have to mix the wet
there's a
and the
reason.
dry. I'm sure there is, but we know it makes a difference.
It does make a difference. I don't know. Someone in the comments, please tell us. Please tell us
Why
why
it
you
makes a
separate the
difference.
two. Yeah, why it makes a difference. Why do we separate the two?
We just know it makes a difference because I've tried it, mixing them all together.
I don't know why. It's just not the same.
Probably some French thing.
Right?
I'm convinced it's some French
Please
thing.
tell us in French what it does. So the next thing that we're going to add are the wet ingredients into this bowl right here. So I have 2 eggs. And I also, at home, I use egg replacer because my son can't eat eggs. And it works just as well. You can also use banana. So when you replace egg with banana, you just use 1.5 bananas per egg. And then if you use banana, you can also add less sugar. So I'm just whisking these eggs up here, getting them pretty whisked up here and incorporated. Here I have evaporated milk. I love evaporated milk. The flavor is just so delicious. I like it because it's shelf stable and I don't have to worry about it going bad in my fridge. So I'm just adding that here. You can also use soy milk, almond milk, any type of milk that you want. Evaporated just happens to be my favorite, and it's really easy to find this time of year around the holidays. So I'm just gonna mix this in, and that's about a can. So this is 12 ounces, so that's 1.5 cups. Just use the full can of evaporated milk if that's what you have. Next thing I have is vanilla. Just add as much as you want. I think
Real, not imitation.
not imitation, but I use I think the recipe initially called for 2 tablespoons. I use like 3.5. I love vanilla.
Vanilla's delicious.
Right?
Can you use the seeds in it? Do you know? Have you tried it like that with the
I
vanilla
have
seeds?
not. No, I've actually made my own vanilla by like putting like the vanilla
Oh,
in
with the
vodka,
vodka?
and letting
Yeah.
it sit for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that before, but I have never just used the seeds. Have you in a dish?
No, but I don't bake like you. I try not to bake unless somebody this pressures me.
Right. And the next thing that we have here is maple syrup. You can use honey if you want to. You can use coconut sugar, which we use a lot in our house. You can use, whatever you want, cane sugar.
Why do you like maple?
I like the flavor. It's very
More
breakfasty.
breakfasty?
Yeah. It's still
Yeah.
sugar. It's still sweet. It's delicious. So I'm gonna mix that all together. And then we have the butter. This was melted, but now it's kind of solid, so I'm just gonna scrape it out of the cup. So you wanna add melted butter. You can just put a stick of butter. I did say in the recipe use 6 to 8 tablespoons. I would just use a full stick of butter if you want to. And the importance in that is like when you're breastfeeding and when you're postpartum, you want calories. I think a lot of us like want our bodies to snap back and be perfect after having babies. That's not always realistic, and it wasn't realistic for me. And I noticed that when I fed my body, I had more energy, and part of that was having enough carbs, enough fat, so that I could sustain myself. And I was nicer. Yeah. Maybe I should eat more of these things.
Nobody wants a hangry. Nobody wants a hangry mother,
right? So you want to incorporate all this together, and now I'm going to pour my wet ingredients into the dry.
Anybody in the comments yet to why that works?
Can someone tell me why we do this? So we're done with that. I'll put this bowl down here to get it out of my space. All right, let's incorporate all this together. Now, if you want to, you can coat your pan with butter. There's so much butter in here that you really don't need to do that. I've done it without before and it was fine. So we're just gonna mix up everything. It smells like Thanksgiving.
It
oh my
does.
gosh.
We have the savory from the chicken soup
so ready
and
for
the
it.
sweetness from the oat bars, and it does smell like Thanksgiving in here.
It does. And now we're just gonna pour our mixture into the pan. Yep. If you have a spatula, here's the time to use it, but we're just gonna put all that in there. Nice. Okay, so now we have apples. I'm just gonna sprinkle the apples on top here so that they don't all sink to the bottom. So this is about 3 apples, and here I have a mixture of Honeycrisp and green apples. It's like Granny Smith. Oops.
Now, I know I've seen you when the kids bring over their food, I've seen berries in this too.
Yes, so we typically make this in the summertime with berries.
Okay.
And I love to do this, especially like when we have like really, really hot days. I'll just like bake this in the morning early around 5, and then we'll just eat it when they wake up later on. So you don't have to have the stove on all day. So I'm just gonna put these on top. Yeah, this is great with like frozen berries, fresh berries, dried fruit, whatever you have, whatever you would eat with oatmeal. All right, that's pretty good. This is optional. So I have some dried cranberries and dried cherries here. I'm just gonna sprinkle these on top.
Where do you cook that at?
Oh yes, so I forgot, preheat your oven to 350, and you're gonna wanna cook this for about 30 minutes. You want it to be firm in the middle when it's all done. And I also have some chia seeds. I'm gonna sprinkle that on top. And this is, like we were saying, an early morning thing that I like to make because my daughter loves to eat the apples when I make this dish, so it's really hard to make with her around, so I like to make this kind of by myself before she gets up. Right.
Sarah's is not to be denied.
Right, I give her anything she wants,
She is not to be denied.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
So now we're all done. We got everything on top here. I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and I think that soup looks like it's boiling.
It is smelling amazing.
Okay. All righty, putting this in here. Okay, all right. And I'm also using the aluminum foil pans. Oh, did we?
Well,
okay.
look at this.
Okay, you want to read this?
I will read this. Somebody has assisted us. Why do you mix dry ingredients and wet ingredients separately when baking? The general rule of baking, whether it's cookie dough, cake mix, or cake batter, is as follows. Dry ingredients should be combined together thoroughly before adding liquids. Liquid ingredients always be mixed separately before they're added to the dry ingredients.
Okay.
So we knew that part, but
Right.
what?
Mixing the dry ingredients by themselves means you will evenly disperse the raising agents, spices, sugar, etc. throughout, which is important for an even batter. So
Well,
that
there you
makes
go.
sense. So it's to help. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Now we know. It makes things taste better.
Yeah,
That
it
was
makes it tastes better.
right.
We didn't have the scientific reason, but if we
We
now
knew
know
it.
it makes it
We had a
taste better.
feeling.
But you're right. It's once you add liquid to something, if you haven't mixed it up well,
Right.
then it's going to be sparse. It's
Especially
not
like
gonna be-
baking soda. Like
Yes,
you want the
yes.
baking soda to incorporate throughout the flour so that it all rises evenly.
You want your leavening agent to
Which makes
permeate the dish. That makes sense.
I get that now.
I'm pretty sure this is done.
Is it done?
I'm going to take the top off.
Okay, you ready?
Give it a look. You ready?
Oh, I want to see
All right,
this.
here we go.
Oh,
OMG.
ooh, I see that olive
ready.
oil on top there.
It's ready. It's ready. Yep.
I might have to
I
have
also wanted to add that if you like your soup a little thicker, you can add like more orzo. I tend to like my soups a little more stewy
some. Right.
because they're more filling. This one I made more soupy.
Right.
So we'll see here. We're gonna plate this here in just a minute.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's see.
All right.
Turn that off.
Let me get this on. Okay.
And we're gonna
Such
plate
a
this.
beautiful-
This is good with cornbread, French bread, crackers. It'll be good with whatever bread you put with it. I am a salad eater. My daughter
I'm not.
laughs at me.
I like my vegetables warm.
I
sorry.
like cold, and I eat salad with everything.
You do. It's good for you.
I do, and I also always garnish. People think a lot of times that garnish is just to make things look pretty.
Right.
It's to enhance the dish. So I'm going to add for this, garnish a little more lemon.
Okay.
Set that in there.
That's beautiful.
There
Seriously.
you go. It's a little
God,
messy,
look at
so
that.
we're gonna clean that up a little bit.
Like a chef. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
There you go. So we have lemon, roasted chicken lemon orzo soup.
Good job.
And like I said, you can do this vegetarian if you want to. Just remove the chicken and add gluten-free and add vegetable stock and add rice or potatoes. But this is my personal favorite way to have this soup. So
Yes, I'm gonna grab my little dish over here
Okay.
and put it next to yours, and I want to taste the soup. I know I'm gluten-free, but
what? No, you got to taste it.
I gotta taste it. Okay.
You got to taste it.
And here's what the oat bar looks like when it's all done. It's perfect to keep in the refrigerator. I freeze mine. Just put a little cranberry on top, make it look pretty. But that's what it looks like. You can pair it with eggs or any type of breakfast protein. We do smoothies with this. You can put a little whipped cream on top, whatever you prefer. But
Give it a
okay,
shot.
all right, I'm ready.
Give
All
it
right,
a shot.
okay, let's do this. Try to,
Don't burn yourself.
okay. You did it. It's
Okay.
good. It's really
Okay.
good.
All right. All right.
Oh my gosh, so
All right.
delicious.
All right.
Okay, well, do you want to try my bar
I will
a little
absolutely
bit?
try your bar.
Okay, I
You got
know.
a fork? Well, I'll just use a
You can
spoon.
use your
Oh,
hands how we usually
okay.
do it at
All
home.
right.
You just shove it in your face.
Oh Lord, there's eggs in here. I'm gonna be sick.
Oh no! Oh, for each other. We're doing this. Let's see. Is it okay? Well.
I'm not a baked goods person, but with some chai tea, this would be awesome.
Thank you.
We get high on our own supply.
Right. Right.
We really do love our own food. And somebody told me, they said, Michelle, my mother told me never to trust a skinny cook. I said, no, we haven't eaten your food, so trust us. But we do eat our own food, and it's very good. This recipe, like I said, it freezes well. And, excuse me, this is really good. And it can feed a whole family in one pot. You see, it only took just a short amount of time. And if you have any questions about anything to add or how to make this, the recipe's been provided,
Right.
but we'll add a little bit of tutorial if you
Yes.
need a little extra help.
Yes. We want to thank you guys for joining us today. Please let us know if you have any questions, like she said. We are so happy to be here. Oh, did you?
And excuse me, also we wanted to let you know that on 11/18, which is this Friday, there's going to be a Haitian family feast at the
Feed the Mass.
Feed the Masses. It's a family style dinner. I love Caribbean food.
Yep.
I'm gonna see about how I can get to this event.
Right. Get ourselves a ticket. But it's on Friday the 18th.
I'm not sure what time it starts. 6 o'clock.
6. Yep.
So 6 o'clock it starts, and just come enjoy some Haitian food. it's Haitian food is a little different from other Caribbean food.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of French influence, but it's still very good.
It's very good, very good.
So
Yeah.
please come.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank Reach, HBI, and Feed the Masses.
Thank you guys so much. Be sure to thumbs up this video, comment, and subscribe as well.
And
to the
subscribe,
channel.
please, please.
Right.
And also to follow Finer Things Events and Catering. We're doing Thanksgiving side dishes.
Yep.
If you need them, we got you.
Right.
Don't stress about. Somebody told me today, I was so stressed out. I was so stressed about Thanksgiving. I said, girl, relax.
She has you. She has you.
I got you. We got Brussels sprouts, greens, cornbread dressing, meat, whatever you need. Let me know.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night. I hope you enjoy.